Did Hilary Clinton give non-cleared people access to classified information?
Yes.
Yes. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. HURD, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm offended. I'm offended by my friends on the other side of the political aisle saying this is political theater. This is not political theater. For me, this is serious. I spent 9.5 years as an undercover officer in the CIA. I was the guy in the back alleys collecting intelligence, passing it to lawmakers. I've seen my friends killed. I've seen assets put themselves in harm's way. And this is about protecting information, the most sensitive information the American government has. And I wish my colleagues would take this a little bit more seriously. Mr. Comey, Director Comey, excuse me. SAP, Special Access Program, you alluded to earlier, that includes SCI information. Does SCI information include HUMINT and SIGINT?
Yes.
HUMINT and SIGINT, human intelligence, information collected from people that are putting themselves in harm's way to give us information to drive foreign policy. Signals intelligence, some of the most sensitive things to understand what Al-Qaeda is doing, what ISIS is doing. So, the former Secretary of State had an unauthorized server, and those are your words, in her basement, correct?
Correct.
Who was protecting that information? Who was protecting that server?
Well, not much. There was a number of different people who were assigned as administrators of the server.
And at least 7 emails chains, or 8, that was classified as TSSCI.
Correct.
So the former Secretary of State, one of the president's most important advisors on foreign policy and national security, had a server in her basement that had information that was collected from our most sensitive assets, and it was not protected by anyone, and that's not a crime? That's outrageous. People are concerned. What does it take for someone to misuse classified information and get in trouble for it?
Well, it takes mishandling it and criminal intent.
And so an unauthorized server in the basement is not mishandling?
Well, no, there is evidence of mishandling here. This whole investigation at the end focused on, is there sufficient evidence of intent?
Was this unanimous opinion within the FBI on your decision?
Well, the whole FBI wasn't involved, but the team of agents, investigators, analysts, technologists, yes.
Did you take into any consideration the impact that this precedence can set on our ability to collect intelligence overseas?
Yes. My primary concern is the impact on what other employees might think in the federal government.
And you don't think this sends a message to other employees that if the former Secretary of State can have an unauthorized server in their basement that transmits top secret information, that's not a problem?
Oh, I worry very much about that. That's why I talked about that in my statement, because an FBI employee might face severe discipline, and I want them to understand that those consequences are still going to be there.
Director Comey, do you have a server in your basement?
I do not.
Does anybody in the FBI have a server in their basement or in their house?
I don't know. Not.
Do you think it's likely?
I think it's unlikely.
I would think so too.
I would think so
too, because I've been proud to serve alongside the men and women that you represent. So there was no dissenting opinion when you made this decision. It's your job to be involved in counterintelligence as well, right?
Yes.
So that means protecting our secrets from foreign adversaries collecting them. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did this activity you investigated make America's secrets vulnerable to hostile elements?
Yes.
Do you think that pattern of behavior would continue?
I'm sorry, I missed the last.
Do you think that pattern of behavior would continue?
Would continue
by our former Secretary of State?
I'm not following. You mean if this had not come to light, you mean?
Right now, based on what we see, do you think there's going to be other elements within the federal government that think it's okay to have an unauthorized server in their basement?
Well, they better not. That's one of the reasons I'm talking about.
So, but what is the ramifications of them doing that? How is there going to be any consequences levered if it's not being levered here? Because indeed, you're setting a precedent.
Yeah, the precedent, I want people to understand, again, I only am responsible for the FBI, that there will be discipline from termination to reprimand and everything in between for people who mishandle classified information.
Mr. Director Comey, I'm not a lawyer, and so I may misstate this. Is there such a thing as the case of first impression? And why was this not possibly one of those?
There is such a thing, which just means the first time you do something. The reason this isn't one of those is that's just not fair. That would be treating somebody differently because of their celebrity status or because of some other factor. Doesn't matter. We have to treat people. It's the bedrock of our system of justice. We treat people fairly. We treat them the same based on their conduct.
And that person mishandling the most sensitive information that this government can collect is not fair? It's not fair to punish someone who did that?
Not on these facts. It would be fair. That person worked for me. It would be fair to have a robust disciplinary proceeding. It's not fair to prosecute that person on these facts.
I thank
Mr. Chairman, I yield back the time.
Sam Sandiford for weaponizednews.com. Today is July 2nd, 2016. The Clinton crimes are legion. They're above the law. Here's another incident involving the Clinton crime family. Report out of Zero Hedge. UN official accidentally crushes own throat right before testifying against Hilary Clinton. Call it a conspiracy theory, coincidence, or just bad luck. But anytime someone is in a position to bring down Hilary Clinton by testifying, they wind up dead. In fact, there's a long history of Clinton-related body counts, with scores of people dying under mysterious circumstances. Perhaps the most notable is Vince Foster. Foster was a partner at Clinton's law firm and knew the inner workings of the Clinton machine. Police ruled that death a suicide, though it is often noted that Foster may have been suicided. Now, another official has found himself on the wrong end of the Clintons. That John Ash was a former president of the United Nations General Assembly highlights the fact that no one is safe once in their sights. And this is John Ash right here. And as you might have guessed, there are major inconsistencies with Ash's death. It was not only conveniently timed because Ash died just days before being set to testify against Clinton in a corruption case, but official reports indicated he died of a heart attack. The problem, however, is that police on the scene reported Ash died when his throat was crushed during a workout accident. And we know how the Democrats, Harry Reid in particular, with his black eye and his sunglasses, like to have workout accidents when they're being either killed or beaten up and extorted by the mafia, which is the Clinton crime family. Continuing, the New York Post, page 6, reported that after Ash was found dead Wednesday, the UN claimed that he had died from a heart attack. Local police officers in Dobbs Ferry, New York, later disputed that claim, saying instead that he had died from a workout accident that crushed his throat. Adding to the mysterious nature of Ash's death was the fact that he had been slated to be in court Monday with his Chinese businessman co-defendant Nag Lak Singh, from whom he reported received over $1 billion in donations during his term as president of the UN General Assembly. And then there was this. During the presidency of Bill Clinton, Singh illegally funneled several $100,000 to the Democrat National Committee. It must be a coincidence, right? If former Secret Service agent Gary Byrne is to be believed, this is business as usual for the Clintons. And of course, he's been all over conservative media with his recent book, Gary Byrne, talking to Sean Hannity, other big conservative media outlets. Let's take a listen to what he has to say about the Clintons.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, his highly anticipated tell-all should be making the Clinton campaign very nervous tonight. In his brand new book, Crisis of Character, a White House Secret Service officer discloses his firsthand experience with Hillary, Bill, and how they operate. Gary Byrne details what the Clintons are like, far away from the public eye. Now, he has a lot to share, so let's get things started. Joining us now on an exclusive is former Secret Service officer Gary Byrne. How are you? Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Sean.
You wanted to be a Secret Service officer your whole life.
I did.
Yeah, but
I did.
And you got that coveted job right in front of the Oval Office.
I did. It came true. Yeah, it was great.
Pretty amazing. I know that the left is going to smear, slander, besmirch you. You're ready for that, right?
Sure, I am. And it's already started.
It's already started.
Yeah.
Before the book comes out. You know, I love how they smear you before they even know what you wrote.
Yeah.
I'm going to start at the end of the book, because
Sure.
you talk about why you wrote this book. You said, what I learned from the Clintons firsthand the hard way is important. In 2016, she's running again, and you felt compelled to tell the story because why? Let me ask that.
Because I want Americans to know what the real Clinton administration is like. Mrs. Clinton is not a leader. She's a very, very angry person all the time. I've seen many instances that I talk about in my book, Crisis of Character, where she displays this holier-than-thou attitude, do as I say, not as I do. She's a dictator. She comes across as a dictator. I've seen her berate many people, and myself included. And I've never seen any example that would lead me to believe that she could lead this country. I mean,
you know, you describe a woman that is very phony. In other words, you talk about how she'd tell you to go to hell, or tell another agent to go blank himself.
Correct.
And how she threw a Bible at a Secret Service officer or agent. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the vase story, which we'll get to in a minute.
Right.
But if the cameras were on, she was close to Bill, but it was manufactured. It was not real.
Absolutely.
Camera goes off, different person.
Yeah.
And if she had guests, she'd say, oh, he's my favorite Secret Service guy.
Sure. She actually did that to me one time when she berated me about an hour before over something, and then introduced me to this tour from Arkansas, a group of people that were getting a special tour, and told them what a wonderful, I was her favorite officer, and patted me on the back, and almost to the point where I almost believed her, but I knew what the truth was.
Yeah.
I'd seen this behavior before.
You said, and with Hillary Clinton's latest rise, I realized her own leadership style, volcanic, impulsive, enabled by sycophants, disdainful of the rules set for everyone else, has not changed a bit. A lot has been made about temperament.
Yes.
And the temperament of a president.
Yes.
You're describing someone by far that does not have control of her emotions or temperament.
Yeah. She exhibits some very dangerous behavior, as I would describe it. She gets angry at things that are policy issues that, you know, take time to fix, and she's got this attitude where she wants things fixed right now, immediately. She screams and yells at people, and there's procedures. You know, government is very bogged down with rules and regulations, and so yeah, there's many examples that I cite in my book where she blows up at people. Like I said, she's blown up at me before, and agents and her staff. At one time, I saw her staff so afraid to tell her about a mistake that was made. They weren't upset about the waste of the mistake, ordering the wrong invitations. They were terrified that someone was going to have to tell Hillary Clinton that there was a mistake made.
Oh, by the way, you're not the only one to say this. George Stephanopoulos, he described her as having a horrible temper. Dee Dee Myers is another person.
Yeah.
And you even quoted George, I know, in the book.
Yes.
And then you write, though portrayed as a long-suffering spouse of an unfaithful husband whose infidelities I personally observed, and we'll get to that in a minute, and know to be true, she was anything but a sympathetic victim.
Correct. Their relationship seemed so strange and volatile at times, and she would continuously berate people, as I mentioned before, but she was like two different people. Again, she would be polite and nice to everybody when the cameras were on, and then when they were off, she was this cold, distant
Seconds later.
Just almost instantly. I mean, that's what I've experienced quite a few times.
Yeah. All right, you tell a couple of stories, and I think our audience would want to.
I'm not going to play this whole interview for you. You can go find it in the link below this video, but, I mean, the Clinton crime family, above the law, crisis of conscience, another victim, right here. John Ash, dead in a exercise accident days before he's set to testify against Hilary Clinton. Truly amazing. They are above the law. Do your own research about the Clinton crime family. Scary, scary people. We don't want her as president. Vote for Trump 2016. Subscribe to this channel. Speak out and take action.
Throw it up. Start twerking like Miley. Oh yeah. Twerking like Miley.